Alright, welcome back everyone. We are now back with Game 2 from Round 1 of the Nebraska Esports SC2 Open, Jolly versus AmaramOPG. Now, Jolly was able to take Game 1 over Amaram in a very commanding fashion with a Ling Muta sort of style. He was able to get in and do quite a bit of harassment with a substantial amount of mutas, even picked off the command center for Amaram before Amaram was really able to defend, and that put him in a commanding lead, and he took that game very solidly in Game 1. We'll see if he'll be able to keep up that sort of just dominating play in Game 2. Now, because Amaram did lose, he does choose the next map, and that is MLG's Zelnaga Caverns. And so we are going to get into this game, just a second, as soon as I can find my mouse. I'm going to get into this game immediately and just go ahead and hit play. And so here we go. Now we have Amaram spawning in the top right as the yellow Terran on this map, against Jolly in the bottom left as the green Zerg. Now, as I mentioned before, both these players are in the Platinum Leagues, so they're not the tip top of players. You know, they're not going to be. This isn't going to be MVP versus an ST or anything like that. But they both have a very, very good understanding of the game. They have pretty good, solid fundamentals, and so we're going to probably see a pretty even match, a pretty good game out of these players. And so I'm pretty excited. So last game we saw Jolly go with a hatch first opener, which is kind of a risky opener, I feel like, on this map. As you can see here in the natural, this natural is very, very, very wide open, which makes it easy for Hellions to get in there and just roast a ton of drones. It makes it hard for you to really control the space with spine crawlers here. Even or 2 racks pressure with the bunkers can be very hard to hold off, because you can build bunkers up here and make them hard to hit. You can build them and come in from the side and all sorts of funny business behind the mineral line. And so I would not be surprised, to see a pool first sort of opener for Jolly. And it'll be interesting to see if that changes his playstyle very much or not. Now, he does not have the gas down, so this does look like maybe a pool into hatch sort of. Well, there goes the gas, so maybe not. I just put my foot in my mouth there for a moment. Now, Amaram going with the 2 racks, knowing that if his opponent does go for a hatch first sort of opener, that he'll be able to put on a ton of pressure. I'll be interested to see if, once he scouts that his opponent has not gone hatch first, if he will just transition out of this. So he has come in here, and he does see the gas and the pool, so he knows that his opponent has gone for a pool first sort of build. So will he take his gas, or will he decide to continue this 2 racks pressure? It'll be interesting to see what he decides. So typically when you see gas after pool, you might see a roach sort of play. At least, I don't know, maybe not in this matchup. There we go. There goes the roach warren. So it might be a early roach pressure build that we are seeing out of Jolly here. And I don't think that's a very good idea against this 2 racks opener. I don't think he is. Yeah, he has got in here and scouted it, and I don't know if this is a good decision for him to try to go ahead and put this pressure on. He may just decide to play defensively and protect himself against any sort of Hellions, but he shouldn't be too worried about that, seeing that he has seen both those racks down. And what he really needs here probably are Banelings to hold off the great number of Marines that will be coming out while he tries to secure his expansion. So anyway, not a whole lot going on right now for either player, just massing up a ton of Marines. It does look like AmaramOPG is going to move out with a handful of Marines and an SCV. Whether or not he'll try to make a bunker with this SCV will be very interesting to see. I don't know if it's worthwhile for him to try to bunker contain the front of this Zerg base, just because Zerg has decided to go for a lot of roaches here in the early game. Now, picking off that Overlord in the middle of the map is actually going to be huge for Amaram at this point. He's going to go ahead and pull back, but because Jolly's going for that roach opener, losing that supply is actually very costly, because it makes this transition harder, and it also means he can't get quite as many roaches. But he's going to move out anyway with 6 roaches. Amaram is going to see this with that 1 Marine up front. And so he'll probably want to pull up some SCVs to repair these bunkers that are going down, and continue to crank out as many Marines as he can to hold off this pressure. But he should be in great shape given his choice of opener against the opener of Jolly. So we might be seeing just kind of a build order win here if this goes really poorly for Jolly, but we'll have to wait and find out if he decides to commit to this push or if he decides to pull back and expand. So it looks like he is going to go ahead and go for it. He's going to move up here up the ramp, and the bunker has completed. He does have an SCV down here to repair. Having seen that the defenses are up and running for Jolly, he is going to pull back, but not without losing a roach. And he's bringing more roaches actually to reinforce, and I really don't know if I like this decision. He needs to get that expansion up. He's going to keep losing roaches here if he doesn't control this well, and that's going to put him further and further behind. That SCV in the middle, I think just got forgot about by Amaram for a moment, but actually served purpose. They're spotting the incoming reinforcing roaches and letting them know that it's not safe to, you know, try to fly this down and protect it with his Marines just yet. Now it looks like he might be transitioning here to Marauders. He has seen quite a few roaches out of Jolly. If Jolly continues to make a good number of roaches, then Marauders are going to be very valuable in this situation. Plus he wants to be able to get stim and combat shield for his Marines. And so it looks like Jolly just putting on a light contain with these roaches for the moment while he tries to get his expansion up. Expansion has just finished Maynarding over the probes. I don't know if Maynarding is an actual verb. That sounds kind of weird, actually, now that I say it. These Marines should actually be okay against this many roaches. Oh, maybe not. They don't have combat shields, so they're going to pull back. And the SCV is actually coming down to assist the Marines in chasing these roaches out. I don't know if I approve of this decision. He probably should have gotten a couple Marauders or waited for combat shield before he went down there. But it looks like Jolly does know that his window of opportunity to continue that contain is kind of lapsed, and so he's going to go ahead and pull back as Amaram continues to mass up Marines and secure his natural with the bunker. Interestingly enough, we haven't seen much use out of this starport or factory just yet. He has got the reactor on the starport, which is going to allow him to get a ton of medevacs out. Not really seeing anything come out of it just yet. He's getting +1 attack for his Marines as well as stim, and I'll be interested to see if he's gearing up for some kind of timing push or not. Jolly making good use of these roaches, taking out these rocks, but continuing to make more and more roaches in this ZVT matchup, and I don't think this is necessarily a great idea. Amaram is aware of the roach production. He has started Marauder production of his own, and once Marines really have combat shield and a couple attack upgrades, they actually do very, very well against roaches, especially with medevac support. So both players playing a little bit defensively for the moment. Jolly has started his lair, is about 2/3 of the way done. Hasn't really gotten any upgrades out of these Evo chambers quite yet. There we go, +1 has started and Carapace has started. So it looks like he is very committed to this roach play. And I'll be curious to see if he can make it work out for him in this game. Taking gas here at his natural, needs to get some other tech really to support these roaches if they're going to be very viable at all. I feel like tanks now coming out for Amaram, and that's actually going to be a very big deal as well. Tanks do extra damage to armored whether they're sieged or not, and that actually comes into huge play against roaches. Once tanks come out in substantial numbers, they just rip through roaches. And so will Jolly be able to make this work? He has a window to attack before the tank numbers get too high, but it's all a matter of how you engage this army. With all these defenses here, it's going to make it harder and harder for him the longer this game goes out. And we're actually seeing our Terran player Amaram pull ahead substantially in the food count. He's ahead in harvesters as well, which is a very, very bad situation to be in as Zerg, because that harvester count does not count these mules, which boost the Terran's economy substantially in the mineral department. And so Jolly really needs to make something happen here. to try to get back into this and get caught back up in economy if he's going to stay into this for very long. Now the infestation pit is down. He is researching that energy upgrade, the pathogen glands, but we do have AmaramOPG moving out right now. Stim has finished, +1 has finished, and Siege has finished, and so he's probably going to wait for this Terran infantry armor before he engages, and this could actually be a very difficult push for Jolly to try to, for Jolly to try to hold off if Amaram controls this well. So actually just kind of hanging out here by the watchtower. Jolly is aware of it. He does have this changeling following the army of Amaram. And I'm kind of curious what Amaram is waiting for here. Is he really just waiting for that infantry armor, or is he just taking a defensive stance that will hopefully allow him to take his gold? Yeah, I'm really kind of confused by this. Jolly is catching back up slowly but surely in the supply count, though he is still substantially behind in workers. More changelings coming in to see this army move out, and this looks like it might be it. Amaram moving out with 3 tanks, a good handful of Marines and Marauders, and here's the engagement. The tanks are actually going to do a substantial amount of damage here, but the army of AmaramOPG does get fungled and is going to go down quite easily. But these tanks really are the big threat here, and Jolly is not cleaning them up fast enough. And just look at him, only 3 tanks with no support, just doing a ton of damage to these roaches before they get cleaned out. And even though Amaram lost that entire force, I still feel like he is in a great position if he just pulls back and comes out with another similarly composed army. Yeah, Jolly is losing his brief window here to do some sort of counter pressure, just sitting here kind of out in the middle and deciding to take his gold, and I don't know if that's really what he needs to be doing here. He's not really ahead at all other than the food count. He does have a bit larger army, and so he needs to make that army work for him while he tries to take that expansion. And as we see, Amaram has reinforced his army. It's looking just about the same, minus a few Marauders and a tank. He's going to come out and he's going to attack the 3rd of Jolly. Fortunately, there aren't too many workers here for Jolly, but he's going to probably be able to take this out without too much trouble. Now, there are a ton of roaches down here, and so Jolly is going to, Amaram is going to lose this force. But as you know, all these medevacs are actually completely safe right now, as Jolly is not using his fungals and infested Terrans to take them out. Kind of an interesting situation, really. Amaram, I feel like, did have a great lead there and just kind of lost, partly maybe due to control. Those fungals were a very key move from Jolly that really swung the tide of that engagement. And so Jolly actually looking quite strong now. Still substantially behind in the resources harvester, like income cap. Oh, I'm missing a drop down here in the natural, taking out quite a few workers. These roaches are going to come down and put an end to this, but not able to take out the drop entirely. This infestor is struggling to try to catch this medevac and try to put an end to this entirely, but there are a couple Marines up here on the high ground as well behind the 3rd, just being annoying and picking off the few drones that go back there to harvest those minerals. And as we see, man, I really need to find this kill thing. Yeah, that's what I thought. So if you look at the workers killed, Amaram is actually quite a bit ahead. 11 workers killed to the 2 of Jolly, and so that's actually coming into play quite a bit here now. Interestingly enough, Amaram banking quite a bit of resources here, doing kind of weird moves with these drops, not doing a ton of damage, but he is now finally taking this gold base. Needs him to start moving workers over there and securing it a bit better. And meanwhile, we do have a drop coming down here into the main, and I think this is going to be able to do a substantial amount of damage because Jolly's army is completely out of position right now. So a ton of Marines dropping down in the main. Very light defenses here at the gold. Will Jolly see this in time? He does see it. He is coming back. Amaram is not paying attention to this drop is not going to really get in to do any damage before it gets cleaned up, unfortunately. And so the fungal goes down, these roaches clean it up with ease, and they don't really get any real kills off, which is really kind of surprising. These medevacs even getting taken out by the infested Terrans, and so this is really starting to go very poorly for Amaram as this goes on. Now the gold is down. He still has, he still has just an amazing harvester lead, but until he starts spending those minerals, it's really not going to make give him a huge advantage. Jolly, sticking on this roach tech, has gotten burrow and burrow moved to support this army, and so he's going to be able to come in and do some annoying harassment, sort of aggression. Excuse me, I need a drink or something. Muta's starting to come out for Jolly as well, and so it'll be interesting to see if he tries to do some multi-pronged sort of aggression here. Jolly with a roach and creep in the way of what would be the normal third here for the Terran player. And you know, really, this is kind of a goofy game. I feel like Jolly is actually really far behind because of the income situation, but Amaram has not been able to effectively spend all that income, and so Jolly's sticking in here by just being really on top of his macro, and as I say, that is gas, you know, skyrocketing. However, still behind in the food count, a lot of that is workers. And we're going to see these roaches get in here, burrowed. No detection in here, actually, for Amaram at all. And the question is, oh, there's a single detector somewhere. There's a turret way back there. Roaches unburrow, take out that tank, and I'm going to be able to do a ton of damage here to the natural of Amaram, forcing him to lift off. He's losing a lot of workers. This is the sort of play I would have liked to see happen a lot earlier in this game, but now these roaches are actually in a very difficult position. They need to get out of here because these tanks are sieging up. There's a bunch of Marines and Marauders here to get in the way, and kind of not going very well for Jolly, not controlling this as best as he could, and all these roaches are going to get cleaned up pretty easily. Just 6 of them escaping. A few mutas joining the fray, actually kind of poorly timed because there are a lot of Marines here right now, so they're going to get chased off without too much difficulty. Though that was a pretty good push, aside from the miscontrol there at the end from Jolly. I feel like he could have got out of there with a lot more roaches and done a lot of free damage with that push. Looks like Amaram is going to go for it. He's taking a bunch of SCVs with him as well. And a few, and he's got this Thor in the mix as well. This many tanks is going to actually be very hard for Jolly to hold off because he is so roach heavy. And oh, all the infestors going down to tank fire immediately. These mutas are not going to be able to do much damage with this Thor in the mix and these Marines, and the gold gets taken out in such dominating fashion. And this is what I'm talking about. This many tanks, excuse me, against roaches and infestors is just really hard to deal with. We got a ton of Marines coming here to reinforce. He's just going to A-move this death ball into this choke point. We'd like to see some fungals go off here. There's a massive fungal on the Marines, but it's just not going to be enough. This tank siege up and just annihilate all those infestors. And Amaram is looking in great shape. He's going to swing a few of these Marines here off onto the side and then dart in here to the natural and take this off. And just, oh, this is just going to be so frustrating for Jolly right now. But it's like I was saying earlier, Jolly was very behind in the harvester count for a very long time, and it's just kind of cost him this game. And so there's the GG. Amaram able to tie it up in Game 2. We will go to Game 3 here in a moment and see who can win this series in Round 1 of the Nebraska Esports StarCraft 2 Open. Thanks for watching.